Hey everyone, ready to dive deep. Today we're all about self-improvement. We're unpacking Texto Pagano, this transcript that's really got us thinking.
It's really something.
It is. Breaking free from the past, self-love, but not how you'd expect. Ever wish you had that one friend, you know the type, who tells you straight up, even when it's hard to hear?
Oh, absolutely. That real, honest feedback.
Exactly. Texto Pagano calls them trusted critics. It's like we need those people, even if it's tough sometimes.
The source is interesting. How it tackles self-love, it's different. It's not about like spa days or buying yourself something fancy.
Right, it's deeper than that.
Way deeper. It's about knowing you're worthwhile, just as you are. You don't need anyone else to tell you that.
Like that line, I love me independent of you loving me. Wow.
Right. Powerful stuff.
It makes you think about how we all want to belong, to be accepted, but if we tie our worth to, like, looks, stuff, even likes on social media.
It's a shaky foundation. Those things are always changing. Right?
Exactly, and then you feel empty, never good enough. It's like you're always chasing something that's just out of reach.
Imagine someone who, like, bases their whole identity on their job. They're killing it, getting praise, top performer. Then, bam, they get laid off.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
If their self-love was all about that external validation, that would be rough.
Devastating. Makes you realize how important it is to build that self-love from within, so it's steady no matter what life throws at you.
And speaking of tough stuff, this deep dive gets into forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
but not like saying bad actions are okay. This is about forgiveness for you, for your own peace.
This line really hit me. Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different. It's like, whoa!
It's profound, right?
Totally.
And it shows why forgiving is so hard. We replay those hurts in our minds, wishing things went differently.
Like, we're stuck in that loop.
We are. And it's exhausting. Holding on to that hurt, it's like carrying around a backpack full of rocks.
Okay, I get the analogy. Heavy stuff.
Each rock is like a past hurt, a grudge. Forgiveness isn't saying those rocks were good. It's choosing to put the backpack down.
So you can finally move freely.
You got it. Not because those hurts were okay, but because you deserve that freedom
Mm.
to not carry that weight anymore.
But what about those times you put it down, but then you pick it right back up again? How do you actually break free?
That's where this deep dive takes a really interesting turn. The source talks about this different way of looking at things, about embracing the fact that life, it's a cycle.
Life's a cycle. Okay, so we're talking about those curveballs, those moments that make you feel stuck, hurt, like maybe you're even a little broken.
It happens to all of us.
But what if, instead of fighting it, we see those times through this idea, this cyclical perspective?
That's where things get really interesting. It's like the seasons changing.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
You have spring and summer, all that growth, that energy,
Mm.
and then fall comes, and it's about letting go, looking inward, and then winter, quiet, still.
Each season has its own thing going on, even when it's tough.
Exactly. And they all come back around. Just like that saying, this too shall pass. Good or bad, it's a reminder that nothing stays the same forever. And when you really get that cyclical nature, it's like you don't get swept away by your emotions as much.
You can write it out.
Yeah. The highs and the lows, a bit more grace, knowing that calmer waters are ahead.
This makes me think about how we're so quick to see setbacks as failures.
It's easy to do.
Like one little bump in the road and suddenly we're questioning everything. The whole path, who we are.
Yeah, but what if instead of failure, we call them, I don't know, opportunities?
To grow. It's
Exactly.
like those failures are actually feedback.
There you go.
Information we can learn from, adapt, become more resilient.
And that brings us to another big idea from Texto Pagano, this idea of trusted critics.
Right, those people who will tell us what we need to hear, even if it's not always fun to hear.
It's so easy to surround yourself with yes people. They tell you what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But this source is saying that might actually hold you back.
So you need those trusted critics, those people who are like honest mirrors.
Love that. They reflect back the parts of ourselves we might miss, the parts we need to see to grow.
It's not about being negative or overly critical. It's about having those people who can give honest feedback.
Because they care.
Yeah.
They want to see you do well.
Okay, but how do you find these magical, trusted critics? Is there like a guidebook?
If only.
Hmm.
Honestly, it starts with looking at yourself. Who do you really respect? Who do you listen to? Whose advice have you taken before?
So not just the people who agree with everything you say.
Exactly. A mentor, a good friend, family, maybe even a therapist. Someone who has your best interests at heart. Someone who wants to see you become your best self.
Okay, so say you've found a few potential trusted critics. How do you actually start that conversation? It seems tricky.
It is. It's about being humble, a little vulnerable even. You could say something like, I really value your opinion and I'm trying to work on this thing. Would you be open to being really honest with me?
That's good. It feels more like a two-way street.
It should be.
But what about when you're the one getting the feedback? Even if it's meant to be helpful, it can sting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Knowing how to receive feedback well, that's a skill in itself.
So what, you just agree with everything they say?
No. It's about really listening,
Wow.
not getting defensive. Take it in, then decide how you want to use it.
So you don't have to change who you are at your core.
Not at all. It's about recognizing, even if it's tough to hear, there might be some truth in it. That can help you grow, and that's where that strong sense of self-love comes in.
I'm seeing how it all ties together now.
When you love yourself, you can handle feedback without falling apart. You know who you are, even if you messed up.
You can separate the action from, like, your worth as a person.
Yes, it's not I'm bad, it's I can learn from this.
And we're always learning, always growing.
We are. Which brings us back to that idea of cycles. Just like the world has ups and downs, we have them too.
Times of growth, times when things are A.
Exactly. And just like the seasons, it's about embracing each part, the growing, the plateaus, even the times you feel like you're moving backward. There are lessons in all of it.
So that idea from Texto Pegado really sticks with you. It has come to pass not to stay, just to pass.
It's simple but profound.
It really is.
And it makes you think not just about what happens to us, but what happens inside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our own self-improvement journeys.
Oh, I see what you mean.
There are times when you're making progress like crazy. You feel like you can do anything.
It feels amazing when that happens.
The best. But then, just like in nature, things change.
I always do.
You hit those slower periods, maybe even setbacks where you feel like you're going backwards.
And it's so easy to get discouraged then.
Oh, yeah. You start questioning if you're doing the right thing at all.
That inner critic starts getting loud.
Telling you you're not good enough, not working hard enough, that you should just quit.
The worst.
But that's when it's so important to remember that cycle,
Yeah.
that up and down. That's not failure, it's just part of it.
Just how it goes.
Just like those trees that look dead in winter, they're actually getting ready for spring.
Building up to something new.
We are too.
Yeah.
Even when it doesn't feel like it, we're renewing, transforming.
So even when we hit those plateaus, those setbacks, it's not about freaking out. It's about reframing.
Exactly.
See it as a chance to rest, reflect, recalibrate.
I like that.
Even if we don't see it, growth is still happening.
It is. And think about it, when you're not always focused on the end goal, how much more you can enjoy the journey itself.
Being present.
The ups, the downs, they're all opportunities to learn and grow.
Not just about the destination, right? It's about what you see along the way.
And who better to share those experiences with than your trusted critics?
Makes sense.
They can help you through the tough parts, offer a new perspective.
It's like having a support system.
That's what it's all about. Celebrating your wins, being there for you when things get rough.
I like that.
And remember, being open to feedback. It's a practice.
You get better over time.
You do. So maybe it's not about being perfect, but about embracing the messiness, the ups and downs.
Loving the journey.
That's a great way to put it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what's one area in your life where you could use some feedback from a trusted critic?
Ooh, that is a good question.
It might be uncomfortable at first,
It probably will be.
but those honest conversations, those moments of reflection, they can lead to incredible growth.
So go find your people, have those tough talks, keep diving deep.